Hey fans, Ingo Weigel,
Matt Griffith.
MMA Nuts.
Something or other.
Yes, and we have a very special guest on this edition of...
Renato Laranja?
No.
Damn.
Maybe we should get him soon.
Maybe.
Has he been on the Rogan podcast?
I don't think so.
No, because I think him and Eddie and everybody know that. So he probably wouldn't do our show. Suck a dick. But anyways, we had Demian Maia on the show, and we did a little sit down with him in Comprido. He was in Chicago just this past week, and we had a really good conversation about a lot of topics, including Anderson Silva. What else did we talk about?
Husamar Palhares.
Yes. What he sees happening in his career moving forward. He's got some staff going on, and so right now he's healing.
That's right.
Looks a lot better than in the picture he posted a few weeks ago. From my impression from when we met him a while back to now, I mean, he looks much leaner. Like just walking around, you know, it's kind of almost shocking because he was so big. Last time we saw him, I think you even said like, "Whoa, this is a."
It was the first person that we had met in person where his image that you see on TV actually matched what we saw in person.
Yeah, and I don't know if you picked this up too, but when he was talking about Anderson Silva, I think you had asked him about the fight with Anderson Silva. I feel like there's some unfinished business there.
There is.
In his head, like he feels like he was there at the right place at the wrong time, you know? And now if you would be fighting him, it'd be a different story, even if it was the same Anderson as before.
Yeah.
So.
And I think there was some other stuff, but you know what? Damian's such a class act that, you know, he won't dive into all the stuff.
Yeah, he avoided some things, and we didn't cover a few questions that we wanted to ask, which could potentially jeopardize him. As you guys know, what's happening out there. If anyone talks badly about the UFC at this point, it's pretty much see you later. So, without further ado, got anything else?
No.
Demian Maia. We're here with UFC. I keep wanting to say middleweight, but welterweight Demian Maia.
8 fights already.
Yes, we were just talking about that, and I feel like you've been just a middleweight forever, and then you went to welterweight just yesterday, but it's been a long time, I know. And you guys are great friends with Comprido and you, and he helped us set up this meeting here. So thank you for taking some time out to talk to us.
Thank you.
The big question on everybody's mind, I'm sure, is how are you? I know you have some issues with your leg, and are things better?
Yeah, no, I'm better. I'm getting better now. I'm healing. Just day before the fight, I had a little, infection in like the hair in my leg, and it became after the fighting a little staph infection, and but I'm treating. I'm getting better, and I'm sure I will be back soon.
Great. Okay, it's good. So maybe we can take a picture after. Tell your fans. Tell everybody how you're doing. So,
sure.
And the big question is, we have a ton of viewer questions, but the big question, that the theme seems to be, we want to ask you a little bit about Anderson Silva. So obviously he just had his hearing, and there's been some back and forth by his camp, and he said various things about why he failed his drug test. Do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, do you think it would have been better if he just came out and said, "Hey guys, I broke my leg. I took steroids. I had, there's a lot of pressure to fight. Let's take my punishment," rather than, he said a lot of different things.
Viagra and a blue vial and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Is that common in Brazil to have like a blue vial you drink for,
I never heard.
Never heard of
that. It's his what he said. I cannot judge. I can just, he got his suspension. And that's it. Everything was. Under I think the most important, he went there, they had the judgment, and he got his suspension. That's how the sport should be.
Okay, cool.
And how was that fight? You fought him, that was quite a few years ago for the title.
Five, yeah, a little bit more than 5 years.
Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, Abu Dhabi.
And how was that interaction with him? Because it seemed almost at times where, I don't know if he was taunting you or what, but there was some weird exchanges, almost like he didn't want to engage at times during the fight.
Yeah, I think I know he was going to try to keep the fight stand up, of course, and I was going to try to clinch, but he's very good on controlling distance. He was able to keep the distance all the fight, and the good thing is after that fight I realized many things. I realized that I could fight anyone because he was the best in the world in that time, and I fought him for 5 rounds, and I realized that I need to train more takedowns, more stand-up jiu-jitsu, wrestling, everything. So I start to do much more. I start to come here to US, do a lot of wrestling camps, and even in Brazil, improve my stand-up jiu-jitsu. And it's working now. Takes out. When you decide something is not just okay, I'm gonna train wrestling or something, and next fight I will be better. Takes a while, and I've been doing that consistently for like 5 years, and now I feel that I'm one of the best wrestlers in the game.
You are. Yeah, definitely. I think your last couple of fights has been pretty amazing. I know I talked to Comprido a lot about this, and you're pretty happy that Demian decided to go back to his roots. It seems like,
Yeah, he's a jiu-jitsu fighter. He should be fight jiu-jitsu. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's how he wins.
Yeah, it seems. And like I was saying before we started taping, I think a lot of people don't really understand how difficult it is to keep somebody down on the ground when they want to get up. And you make it look so easy. I mean, Magny's a tough guy. You had LaFleur before that. That's a young guy. How do you manage to control, the top game so effectively, basically?
I think, I adapt well my jiu-jitsu for that game. Like, one day I was talking to Comprido after my, not this fight, but LaFleur's fight, and he said, when you pass the guard, it's easy, looks so easy. I know it's not easy. I'm trying to do with the guys the way you pass. I said, yeah, but if I go to pass just in sport jiu-jitsu, I will have the same problems. But I think I adapt well how to punch and pass at the same time. So using the striking and passing, and that's, I think, is the difference on my game. I did a good how I say,
Transition.
Yeah,
transitions.
with the sport jiu-jitsu for the more like self-defense jiu-jitsu and MMA jiu-jitsu. So I think that I realized some small tricks and details that when I stop my career I can teach.
Okay, but you don't want to teach them now. You make it look so very easy. I mean, it's amazing, how just simple you're very smooth in your transitions. And
I remember back then in like the 90s watching Rickson, and I watched his fights and I said, he just stand up, open the guy's guard, and pass the guard so easy, mount, go to the arm. How it's so hard to do that. How he does so easy. But and one day he said, it's the invisible jiu-jitsu, the small details that you do, and that's the invisible jiu-jitsu. How, like, it's not the different positions, but like small positionings and angles that you use your hips and arms that makes difference. So, and it's hard to realize even if you're a jiu-jitsu expert, you don't realize if you don't speak to the guy and ask how you do this and that, and start to understand.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, how did you guys actually meet? Maybe you can speak to that. I know you talk about Demian a lot, but what's your history?
We used to training together. Demian is from São Paulo. I'm from Rio de Janeiro. We are 5 hours away by car. Demian was training on the Alliance Academy in São Paulo, and I was going there to training all the time. I think when I met Demian, I was already black belt, right?
Maybe brown. Yeah, just before
brown
you
to
get black. Yeah, just before I met Rodrigo. I remember just before you fight a Pan American here as a brown belt. That I think you won the weight division,
98.
lost the absolute. Yeah, 98. Yeah.
Since '98,
And I
Demian
was
was a blue belt, always eager to learn and to training. So we become good friends, and man, the years passed. We training so much together. I used to beat him so bad at that time.
You're a little
Doesn't
bigger than
happen
me.
anymore.
Not anymore?
Things change somehow.
Yeah.
And for me, it was great to see, like, a friend, realize his dreams. Demian always want to be an MMA fighter. Always invest on this dream. And in the beginning, we really don't think will happen. I'm one of the no. Just keep training jiu-jitsu. You're good in jiu-jitsu.
You proved them wrong, huh? Yeah.
But he pursued what he wanted. wishes, and he been doing well. His how many years you are in UFC? You know,
8 years.
8 years in UFC.
In October now, in like a couple of months, will be 8 years there
8 years.
for my first fight. Yeah, 21 fights already.
Wow. Okay. That is a lot of fights.
Just in the UFC, I had 6 before.
6 before
Yeah.
that. Okay. So how do you think you've managed to adapt your jiu-jitsu so well to MMA versus I think you used to train in mostly in the gi, right?
Yeah, no, we train a lot of no gi in Brazil also, gi and no gi, but I think the thing is like, you know, I love MMA, I love Vale Tudo, the time of Vale Tudo, and always everything that I did and training, I was training think about one day I'm gonna fight MMA. So, you know, I said that many times, all my sweeps, I was doing not just thinking sport jiu-jitsu, but I was using something that could be useful for MMA or no gi. And then my takedowns, you know, I don't do too much like takedowns with the lap. All my takedowns is basically double and single since the time of jiu-jitsu, because you know my will was to fight MMA. So you know I said okay, I will stick with the things that I think that you know my guard was a guard, and you know sometimes even training on gear, I was thinking if the guy was punching for here, so that was in the back of my mind all the time. I think that's helping me, you know. A lot of the development that you have in jiu-jitsu happens inside your mind. I think not just training, but you know where you is something that inside your mind you think, you know, you're training and you think, and my mind setup was all about MMA. So even train on gi or no gi without punches. So I think that's, you know, increase my game.
Okay. I know we've talked about this as well, like guys coming up in mixed martial arts. I think your opinion is mostly they should start with one thing and then grow from there, become an expert, and you know, is that kind of still how you feel?
Yeah, I think it's much easier if you have a strong base in one martial arts, and then you build around that.
Okay.
You know, not trying to do everything on the same time. You know, learn how to boxing, how to wrestling, how to doing jiu-jitsu on the same time. It's really hard to be so good in so many different aspects. You know, when you're really good in jiu-jitsu, then you can build your boxing, you can build your wrestling around, you know, and your Muay Thai and stuff like that, and that's how it works for them, and then how it works for a lot of people. You know, he's not a jiu-jitsu fighter anymore. He's a MMA fighter who use techniques, all kinds of techniques, but his strength is jiu-jitsu. You know, he proves he can box. He beat Anderson Silva standing, and he wins some rounds standing.
When Anderson decided to engage, I think you won those exchanges. I would say for sure.
First round of the Mark Munoz fight.
Yeah, that was a good one too. Yep. And you kind of went back to your jiu-jitsu roots. So I mean, how do you? Okay, so speaking more on that, I know you had fought Rory McDonald recently, and I think he's a guy who's more MMA.
Yeah,
he never trained like one discipline. Do you feel like he's better off for it, or do you think he would be better necessarily?
I think there's no rule actually. I don't think there's like. I think both ways can be good. You know, depends. But I think if you let's say, you know, I guess I don't know, because you know the sport is developing and so much that it will be changed. But I believe if you're very talented, you know, athletically. If you're a very good athlete and you do everything at the same time and you start young, I think it will work. You're going to be a very good MMA fighter. But at the same time, if you start one sport and you create an identity, you know, like I did for jiu-jitsu, and then you start to spread to another martial arts, it will work also. I think, you know, both ways. There's no like, now everybody should do like, since you kid do everything, or now, or I think everybody should do just jiu-jitsu or boxing and then start to spread. I think, you know, depends the person, how he or she reacts for the learning and what you like, you know, to do. It depends. There's no rule.
Okay. When you were growing up and learning jiu-jitsu, was there a fighter that you looked up to as far as like that got you into MMA?
Yeah, many. You know, especially MMA, I think, almost everybody from my generation was Royce Gracie, because he started everything in the UFC, and Rickson, of course, in Japan. But I start to look a lot of, jiu-jitsu champions also, like, Rodrigo, like, Leozinho,
Yes.
like Tereré. They were all my teachers, Fabio Gurgel, the guys from Carson Grace Academy, Murilo, Zé Mário, the guys from Barra Gracie, like Roleta, Pé de Pano. Many, all those guys were like idols for me, and, I learn a lot from watching their fights.
So, besides yourself and Comprido, which I know you guys are at the top, of course, who would you say is the best Brazilian fighter of all time? In your opinion?
In my
In
opinion,
MMA style, or are you talking
in
about
jiu-jitsu, sport jiu-jitsu,
No, I'm more so someone who represents MMA.
MMA or
You know what? Maybe I should. I don't want to lock it down. Just from Brazil, the best fighter all around. Be just jiu-jitsu, be just MMA, or be whatever.
yeah, just jiu-jitsu. I think the best guy who I ever saw fighting was Roger.
Okay.
Roger Gracie.
Comprido knows him well.
Yeah, yeah. I think Buchecha is going the same way, but I think still, I think Roger was, Xande also,
Okay.
but I think more Roger because the way he did the things. No gi for sure. I think Marcelo Garcia.
Okay. But there's a really cool video of you guys rolling together. I've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah.
You
But
guys
he's
are just
taking it
tapping each
easy
other.
with me. Yeah,
Wow.
he was taking it easy. He's too much nowadays, He's because he keep, like I said, I change. We used to train in São Paulo together. And we are like pretty much the toughest training for each other in that kind. But I went to one direction, like the MMA, and he went to another one, and he went to the direction to jiu-jitsu. That it's impossible, I think, for me to be here nowadays. He's so good on that, So
Yeah.
for me, he's very impressive, especially because he's not big, He's strong, but he's short. He's not like a 200-pound guys. And for me, because of that, he's maybe the best of all time in jiu-jitsu. And if you think gi and no gi, if you think just gi, I think Roger.
Roger.
And MMA is hard. We have many,
Sure.
We have many.
You do. Okay.
And then speaking of jiu-jitsu and MMA, what are your guys' thoughts on Husamar Palhares? He seems to be continually holding the submissions too long, and then
Yeah, it's hard. For me, it's
Yeah.
hard to talk because he's a nice guy. He's a cool
Right.
guy, and for me, he was always nice. But of course, there's something that needs to be done because many guys that I know, they get really bad injuries after fighting. And when you go to fight and when you tap, you tap because you don't want to get injured. So you cannot do that. You cannot hold. So the thing that I say, you cannot hold. I don't know why he's doing. I don't know if he doesn't realize or like I said, it's tough because I didn't speak to him. I don't know what's happening. But of course, you cannot hold a submission when the guy taps. I don't know what Rodrigo thinks about.
I think he's wasting his talent being dumb.
Yeah.
Like doing that. He's a fighter. He should know when the guy tap. When the judge shaking him, he should let him go. I don't know why he does that. But he should to change. He will lose everything he achieved. The kid with so much talent, what could achieve so much good stuff, is putting his career on the trash. And then I don't like this. Like even if you are competing against someone, if you're fighting MMA against someone, the moment he tap, the moment the guy give up, is the moment you have to start to celebrate. Not the time you have to keep trying to impose your will against the person.
Yeah, it's the same thing if the guy is very good in knockouts and he knock out the guy and keep hitting the
Right.
guy instead.
We see that a lot in-
and the
in
referee
MMA.
trying to separate and the guy keep hitting the guy. So, of course, he needs to find something to change that.
Yeah.
You know.
Is
What
that
if we bring
difficult?
in a stun gun?
Stun gun. Stun gun.
The problem is you pass to the other guy.
Yeah.
Too, you know?
Is that difficult to do though? Like when you're so excited and you're fighting, and maybe both of you guys can speak to that as well. You know, if you're in the moment, how come some guys can go, okay, it's over? Even with you brought up the knockouts. I mean, a lot of guys will knock guys out and they'll walk away before the ref even stops the fight. And other guys, Dan Henderson, for instance, you know, you remember the Michael Bisping fight?
Yeah.
They're my favorite.
And one of my favorite knockouts, but you know, it's kind of. I mean, how come some guys can do it and other guys can't? It's you know, from both perspectives.
I think, you know, it comes from experience, of
Okay.
course, but it's when you feel the referee touching you, you realize it's over. Yeah.
Okay.
You realize it's over.
Kind of snaps
so-
you out of it.
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
sense?
Sometimes you can. Even I remember when I fought my second fight in the UFC against Ed Herman, and when I had a triangle and you know I kind of sweep him, he went down, and I realized he passed out.
Mhm.
Before the referee touched me, I was releasing.
Yeah.
You know, and then when I start to stand up, I put my hands on the ground. The referee realized and pulled me up. But because I realized that, you know, sometimes you don't realize, but you know when the referee touches you, you realize
Stop.
right away that it's over. Yeah.
Yeah, do you see that a lot in jiu-jitsu tournaments? I mean, I know a guy on our team got an arm dislocated or something over the weekend, but
Yeah, but it was different. It was a takedown. He post,
Yeah.
he
and
did-
uh,
then he
okay.
got hurt.
Oh, I see.
Normally in jiu-jitsu championships, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen?
No. The guy, everybody release fast. Yeah.
You know what you feel when the guy tap, you know,
Right.
and then when you're training, you have to trust the person you're training, even the person you're fighting. You have to trust
Yeah.
the moment you quit, the other person gonna let you go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, otherwise is no point in
Yeah.
do it. You know, it has to be some trust on your opponent, you know, on your training partner, or on your opponent, or on the referees. You know, so I think everybody who does stuff like that should to be suspended or go for some kind of judgment or trial, because that looks bad for the sport. I had a friend who been hurt by Tokin, what seems a nice person to me, but he keep doing that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to defending him when he keep doing that. You know, I'm friends of his manager. His manager is a good person too. It's hard to keep defending him.
Yeah.
He does stuff like that on the gym as well. So I don't know what's the problem. Maybe his skin is too thick, and then when you tap, you know, like
It's
he
like
cannot
leather.
feel.
What is that?
No, maybe a
Fly.
scientific explanation, but. And then when you punch, is the same. Like you mentioned, Dan Henderson, that extra punch was not an accident.
Oh,
We
yeah,
all
he
know
said
that.
said as
On
much.
purpose.
Yeah.
It's not an accident,
Right.
you know, and he should to be punished. And I love watching Dan Henderson fight.
Right.
And he's
No,
a
but the
great
thing
for
with the
sport.
Henderson was before the referee, you know, because the rule says when the referee separates, you need to respect, because you don't need to release the submission before or the knockout before the referee, you know, interfere.
I see.
So the thing with the Henderson, when Bisping fall, he went to the punch, but as soon the referee went, you know, he stopped it. The problem is if the referee go between and he just push the referee, then
That's a problem.
is the wrong thing,
Okay.
you know, because sometimes you don't know, you know, sometimes he knock out the guy, but he when the guy is falling, he think the guy can, you know, recover, so he wants to give the extra punch. But if the referee jumps you, as soon as the referee touches you, jumps, you know, you need to stop.
Okay. I have one last question. I don't know if you have anything else.
Go ahead.
No. Before we let you go, just curious. I know you're entering, you know, probably near the end of your career at some point. You're closer to the end of the beginning. Like thinking about all that, what are you looking to do in the next 2 or 3 years with your MMA career? I mean, what do you see? What do you see happening for yourself?
You know, the thing that I did my last year or year and a half ago was try to take a little bit, you know, every time I fight, there's too much pressure. You know, I put too much pressure on myself. So I try to release a little bit and realize that, you know, like everybody says, it's easy to say, go there and, you know, do your best. But, you know, I always go there when I win so bad that I put too much pressure. I'm trying to release at least a little bit I'm not like 100%, you know, like pushing the pressure. Try to release a little bit. I think, you know, it's helping me to do better, and that's come from experience. And you know, I hope I can keep winning like that. And you ask about what is your your goal. My goal is to fight for the title again, you know, and do my best to win the title. And that's what I'm gonna try to do, try to reach. But you know, who knows what is gonna happen? I just you know, I will do my best.
What do you think the road looks like for you to get to the title? I assume you have one more fight at least before you get a shot.
You know, I think if I fight now a guy like, you know, with you know, I'm number 6, a guy with like a top rank too, you know, would be good for that, you know, because then I think if I, you know, fight a guy and win against a guy like top 5 or something like that.
Sure.
Then you know I can go for the title maybe.
Yeah. And I assume you feel a lot stronger now at this weight class versus the
much better. Much better. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Anything else from you?
Nope.
No. So you can find Demian. You have Twitter, Facebook.
Yes.
How can the fans reach you?
Yeah, the fans can go to Demian Maia, you know, the twitter.com and it's Demian Maia, my Twitter.
Okay.
And the Instagram is Demian and underline Maia.
Okay.
Because Demian Maia
It's already taken.
Yeah.
So you call that guy and be like, hey.
Yeah. So it's Demian underline Maia, the Instagram, and there's the Facebook, which is the fan page. You know, Demian Maia.
Yep.
So you can get my information from there, and the website also DemianMaia.com.
Okay. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody, sponsors or anything? Anybody you want to say?
Yeah. Thank you very much. You know, for my sponsor Bad Boy, who has been with me for so many years, and you know, passing all, you know, these good and bad moments, and you know, still supporting me, you know. Thanks everybody from there.
Excellent. And Comprido is Chicago, Bloomingdale, right? You have your jiu-jitsu school, and how can fans or people who want to come train reach out to you?
You can look for me at compridobjj.com. I guess if you put Comprido BJJ in all this social media stuff, you will find
me. You'll be there?
I'm not very good responding.
Once a month.
So don't think it's personal if you message me and I don't get a response. You know, but I'm here in Bloomingdale every day teaching classes. Stop by if you guys want.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you guys for both
Thank
of you
you
for
very
all your
much.
time. We wish you the best of luck.
Yep. Thank
and
you.
I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Comprido. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.